All right, we're back here on SportsLine talking Predators tonight, and what a run it has been. One other topic I'd love to throw out there for the phone lines is sort of where this ranks all-time in Nashville or Tennessee sports to you. There's a couple questions here, so go any way you want with it. I think our phone lines are open 737-7767. Last Thursday night, the Predators played the longest game in franchise history, 111 minutes, 12 seconds before Mike Fisher scored in triple overtime to beat the Sharks. I sort of dubbed it the other night on the Electric Power Company Sunday Sports Central as the Music City Marathon. You know, you have the Music City Miracle for the Titans. Music City Marathon, perhaps the most excited this city has ever been about hockey or about a game, started with that game. Game 4 against the Sharks in this series. Are those two now the best events, single games in Nashville sports history? The pantheon of games. Is that how it's ranked? Is it Music City Miracle and then that triple overtime game for the Preds, especially if they come back to win this series? What do you think about that? Curious on your thoughts, and if you have other ideas out there. I mean, maybe there was a great game in the Tennessee run to the BCS National Championship, or you've got some other great game out there that you think belongs in that conversation. I'd certainly be curious to hear those thoughts. But when you talk about the two professional teams, the two major league sports teams that we have, most important playoff run the Titans made, Music City Miracle sparked it. This is now the longest playoff run the Predators have had. And Mike Fisher's goal in the 112th minute of a hockey game is a pretty big spark as well. So curious how you shake that out. And then the other side of that is this now the most fun we've had as sports viewers over a month period in Nashville history, or Nashville sports history? I go back again to the Super Bowl run. That's about a month. You go from the Music City Miracle, you go to Indianapolis, then you've got the AFC Championship game in Jacksonville, and then straight off to the Super Bowl. That was a 4-week span back then for Super Bowl 34. That obviously was fun, and this city was electric. You only got one home game there, only one home game, but it was an electric time to be in Nashville. This is obviously different because you've already had 6 with the possibility of more home games, but you're talking about playing every other night for a month. When this series wraps up, it'll be 14 of 29 nights that the Predators have played a playoff game. And you throw in some of these events, if they win this series and move on, will this be the best run we've had in Nashville sports? Is there a better month out there in your mind? Best game, best run. Where do you fall on that of what these Predators are doing? Because I don't know if they're number one in either, but I think they're certainly in the discussion now. And that tells you something about where the Predators are at now in this city and what they're doing right now in these playoffs. A huge win last night. Victor Arvidsson, the hero, the head coach, has pulled all the right strings in this series so far in the playoffs, and that's something you got to love about Peter Laviolette. He has a hugely successful record. I believe it's 13-6 now in elimination games in his career. 3-0 in these playoffs with the Predators in elimination games. He's 5-1 in Game 7s in his career. Obviously won the only Game 7 in Predators franchise history back in Round 1 against Anaheim. There's a lot to like about having him behind your bench in the playoffs because Peter Laviolette has been there. He's done it before. He's hoisted the Stanley Cup. He brings that experience to your locker room. And just a belief, a way to push the right buttons within the locker room. In Game 3 of this series, after losing the first 2 games, the Predators had played pretty well, especially in Game 2. They really took the action to the Sharks. They just didn't win. It would have been tempting to say, okay, now we're coming back home. Nothing is broken. Let's just go do it and be out there, guys. But Peter Laviolette looked at his team and said, we can be better than this. And he shifted his lines around. Mike Ribeiro went out for a couple games. That seems to have woken him up because he's played much better in games 5 and 6. Finally got on the scoreboard with an assist last night. He also just shifted the lines around. Mike Fisher, Colin Wilson, James Neal on the same line. Those guys have been sensational since Game 3. They have 8 goals in the 4 games since on that line. That's the type of impact you want to have when you switch up lines, and that's what you hope a coach with the experience of Peter Laviolette and, frankly, the guts to make a move like that in the postseason like Peter Laviolette did will bring you. It paid off. Paid off in a big way, certainly in Games 3 and 4. Paid off again last night. Last night, he puts Victor Arvidsson on the top line. Lets him use his speed to skate around. What happens? Into overtime, he finally cashes in. First ever playoff goal for Victor Arvidsson. It wins the Preds an elimination game in overtime. Sensational stuff. And that, again, is why I think you've got to be pretty excited if you're the Predators going into Game 7. Yes, it's on the road, but the pressure is on San Jose. And you've got a coach who's been there and done that. And for a young team, he is pushing the right buttons. Here's Peter Laviolette after the game. Late last night, Preds win 4-3 on Victor Arvidsson's goal. Peter Laviolette with the media.
Peter, in 2 playoff series this spring, they've been down 3-2 and able to tie the series at 3-3. Tonight, you're down 2-0 in the first period. Yeah. You come back to win the game. Where does the resiliency in this group come from?
We got really good leadership in the room. I've said that all along, you know that. And ultimately, those are the guys that pull the rope. And when you're down like that, it was a little bit frustrating. We were a little slow getting off the mark. They got a redirect and then a rebound goal and able to jump up 2-0. And you never know what's going to happen at that point. I think that goal at 5 minutes or so to go in the first period was really important, and it injected some life into us. I got to tell you that the fans tonight were just incredible. The building was unbelievable, and when you come down from elimination games last round and this round, and you have a building like we do, it's the energy that we draw from that and we pull from that is, I can't even tell you how important that is for our group. So it was a great environment. Our guys, I think after that we came out in the second period, we really put our foot on the gas pedal.
Chris? Peter, the Fisher-Wilson-Neal line has been so instrumental to everything you guys have done so far in the playoffs. Pushing Arvidsson up to that top line really seemed to give all of your lines an extra boost tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's, things have gone well for that line. Our defensemen have thrown in some goals, and things have gone well for the Fisher line. But ultimately, you're trying to get production from different pieces and different parts of the lineup. RV, where everybody didn't play the game that I think we're capable of in Game 5, and you address things and you meet with the players, there's usually a good response. And I think we just had a feeling that RV was going to be a guy that would be a nonstop worker out there and use his speed to try and get in on the forecheck or make things happen. And it was just great for him. He's such a fun player to watch. He got some speed behind him in the neutral zone. He was able to turn it over and get an angle to get a shot off. It was a great shot, and but it was just, I think, more than anything, just trying to get more people involved.
John? Yeah, I guess speaking of resiliency, Pekka's night, I wonder if you could talk about that a little bit. Has that unfortunate stumble on the third goal and then comes back and gets the big save there early in overtime?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, Nobody would want it back more than him, right? He's a competitive guy. He got tripped up there just for a second. They were able to score a big goal. I thought our response was really good shortly after that with, Willie putting in the goal to tie it up. But let's not kid each other. Pekka has been outstanding in this series, and when we win, he's a big part of it.
Coach, this will be the first time you guys have had more than a day in between games. Is this coming at a good time for
I can't even tell you. We just kept saying, let's get through this game, and we've got 2 days, and we have not had anything. It's been nonstop, and the travel and the fact that we're every other day since the playoffs started. It's really good for our group. We need that break, and I feel like it will give us a push when we go out there for Game 7.
Yeah. Actually, my question was kind of the same. Whether you'd wanted a game in 2 days because you got momentum going now. No. Okay.
Listen, we're gladly going to take these 2 days. I'm not making excuses. If we didn't like going out to the West Coast, and we should have done better in the regular season, but our guys went into Game 5, and we know what we look like when we're on top of our game and we have the energy, and we didn't have it for whatever reason. I'm not going to make excuses, but it wasn't our night, and for us to get an extra day off will be important.
Message any difference before the overtime, given it's an elimination game, or just pretty much the same?
What's that?
Was your message any difference going into
overtime? I really liked the way we played the second period, the third period, and then the start of the overtime. And basically the message was, do the right things with the puck, good layers defensively, but don't change anything that we just done for 2 periods.
It seemed like you leaned on the Boteto-Jackman pairing a little bit more tonight. Was that as a result of how well they were playing? I mean, they were on the ice for the tying in.
They were really good. They've been really good in this series. They've done a really good job. I think once we tied it up, it allows you to roll the lines a little bit more. You're not looking to catch something, or we were able to get our guys out there and find the matchups that we wanted to find.
Coach, statistically, Mike Ribeiro hasn't had a great postseason so far, but it looked like tonight that he found another gear. Is that something that you may have seen?
Yeah, I thought Mike played a good game in Game 5. We were not good, and it didn't show, but I saw him taking hard strides everywhere. I saw him finishes in his checks. We talked again today. He came back with another hard-working effort, like he's trying. Mike's capable of making a play that can tie a game when your season's on the line, and he's done it for us all year. He's one of our top scorers all year. He had top scorers last year, and I'm happy for him.
Take one more from Pop.
Peter, you already have one Game 7 this year's playoffs under your belt. Will that help you heading into yet another Game 7, and if so, how?
Yeah, well, it's like I said coming into this game. I think we've got 6 rookies on our roster, and 4 or 5 of them are playing on different nights, and a couple of second-year players. So we've got a young group in there, and even some of the guys that have been here for 2 or 3 years are still young, under the age of 25 or 26. And I think anytime you can take those experiences and put them in your back pocket and put a notch in your belt and say, okay, we've done this, I think it's good. But certainly you can gain confidence from that. But Game 7 in their building is not going to be an easy thing. We've got to go in there and do the work. We've got to do the right things, and we've got to make sure we keep our head down and our nose to where it needs to go. And if we do that, then we'll go in there and play a good game.
Peter Laviolette talking after the Predators won last night, late into the night again, an overtime victory. Victor Arvidsson doing the work because the Preds won 4-3 to even this series at 3 games apiece. And he's just a motivational guy. There's a lot of things around the Predators room, whether it's past success and clippings, whether it's inspirational quotes, sayings, things like that. Just a lot of things that this team buys into, and he gets them to play for each other, for him, for his style. And it has paid dividends because this team has had its back against the wall multiple times now, going back to the middle of the season. And yet, every time they fall down, they get right back up. And they did it again last night. Now the season advances to yet another Game 7 with a chance to move on to the Western Conference Finals. We'll hear from more of the Preds coming up, including the star from last night, Victor Arvidsson. 737-7767 is the number. We can hear from you as well. Still second half hour of the program to go. Want to get your thoughts on this Predators team. Stay with us. We're watching SportsLine on News Channel 5+.